My name is Ann-Marie Hackett. I'm a Chief of Staff at Forbes Family Group and I have 2 children. I was 21 when I fell pregnant with my first son. And I think at 21 you don't even really know what to expect, right? You're so young and you just kind of, oh, I'm pregnant and it's exciting. And it was great. I actually had a really nice pregnancy. But I didn't listen to horror stories and I didn't have any major expectations. But my first son, really easy. My second, not so easy. I was 25 when I had my second son. It was a really big baby. I wanted an epidural, but they wouldn't give me one. So by the time I was ready to give birth, I think my body had just shut down. So I gave birth to him naturally. It was like £9.10 or something. And then as I was leaving, I kept saying to my mum, like, I don't feel right, like there's something wrong. I had a bath and it was just weird. I was just bleeding. Anyway, I actually hemorrhaged. I passed out, hemorrhaged, had a blood transfusion. So when people ask me now about like childbirth, I'm not probably the best person to ask because that bit was quite traumatic for me. I don't think I'd like to have known anything about motherhood. I think my journey into motherhood has been one that's been amazing. And I think as a mum, whether you're a new mum, whether you're a second time, third time, as a mum, you're going to learn on the job. And I think as women, I was speaking about it and I said, as women, we all got a superpower. And our superpower is learning on the job, how to be a mum. And I think everybody is great to give advice, but I also think it's your journey and to learn as you go. You can't make any mistakes because you're always going to protect your children. My birthing experience for my second son, so I lived in London when I first had my first son. The second time I'd moved to Brighton, they probably just thought I was overreacting, right? I was being silly. You're absolutely fine. You're being silly. And it was only at the point where I had my son in my arms and passed out, and I pressed the button before I'd passed out, but I literally felt like I was going to give birth again, that they took notice. And for me, I think that they didn't take me seriously. I don't think I would have gone and had more anyway, but you never know because I was young. I was 21 and I was 25. So I think there's always the possibility of doing it again, but no, I think that was pretty traumatic for me to say that that's enough. Support to me is having your village, your friends and your family. When I had my first son, I lived in London. I had my mum, I had my family, my friends. I moved to Brighton. I didn't have my village. I didn't have anybody. I remember my mum and my auntie coming to stay with me for a week, which was amazing. And when they left me, I just didn't know what to do with myself. Like I was just at home now, predominantly at home by myself with the 2 boys. And I felt lost. I felt lost. I felt like I didn't have anybody. And it took me quite a while to adapt to life in Brighton. It was pretty tough. But then along came a neighbour that moved like 3 doors away from me. She's now one of my very best friends. And we became our own little village and she became my everything. And that is how I got through, that we supported each other. I think asking anybody the question, how are you, is super important nowadays. And I think that, especially as a new mum, how much you've gone through. A mum just sometimes just needs to, even if you catch their eye and you smile, that is enough for sometimes, because it can be a really lonely place. Nobody knows your circumstances. You could be in a really happy, loving relationship and be absolutely fine and still look the same as somebody that isn't. So I think that just acknowledging people, being kind, asking, are you okay? How are you feeling? I think it's super important. And I think more and more people need to realise nowadays a smile, a hello, just a sort of acknowledgement is everything to someone. I think mental health difficulties nowadays, we need to kind of get with it, right? Because ultimately, anxiety is part of having mental health issues. I can tell you a numberous amount of times when I've had anxiety. I wake up in the morning and I'm anxious. My heart is in my chest because of maybe the day ahead or whatever's happening in your life. So I think that we need to move away from any sort of stigma of mental health and really just acknowledge that it's out there and say to people, just speak. Just talk. It doesn't matter who you speak to. You know, you've got platforms like yourselves, Motivational Mums Club. There are so many platforms out there now. If you're too scared to put your face to it, you can always have a conversation behind it. So reach out, talk to people. You know, you're never alone. And I know that a lot of times people feel alone, but you never have to be. Every day is a day to ask a mother, how are you?